And now, a reading of A Man and His Towel by Kairaplatypus. First of all, this background is terrible. You can't see the words. The picture's kind of weird. I don't understand what it's supposed to be. Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, let's start. Then Oz, in all his naked glory, stepped out of the shower. He had water in his eyes, so he could not figure out where everything was placed. He reached out to feel for the closest piece of fabric that felt like it could be a towel, but he just happened to accidentally grab to Fanboy, who had been hiding in there, hoping Oz wouldn't notice. Fanboy had been trying to sneak something out of Oz's pants pocket that Oz had confiscated from him the day prior. Now he was paying for it. Oh, here's my towel. Now let's see. Oh, right, and I need to highlight it so I can see because this background's terrible. Oh, right, in between the legs, do it right, unless I want an awful sight. Oz had said to himself, as he lowered Fanboy to crouch level, unaware of the horror of the person who he had let into his home. Fanboy's face lit up with horror as he had glanced a split second at what was going to happen, before shutting his eyes shut, as if a clamp was on his eyelids. The worst part was that he couldn't say a thing or else risk not seeing Kyle for 3 months, because Oswald was strict. The superhero put his hands over his face to reduce any direct contact to the skin on his face, and also to prevent himself from screaming. I feel like I was just kind of thrown in to the middle, because why would Oz have any say in Fanboy's relationships? Why is this even happening? It's a mystery. The big man started to slowly build up speed as he used Fanboy's towel between his legs. The fat man was too engulfed in his fat that he couldn't possibly tell the difference between his friend and the texture of a towel. Obviously, that's realism right there. Literally realism. Fanboy, however, was now on the brink of passing out. He had to choke back puke about 5 times throughout the experience of what came next. He didn't really want to think about. The most disgusting part of all was that Oz could not get every speck of dirt out of the caresses of fat. So, this proved to be even more disgusting experience. As much as he wanted to see Kyle again, this was really unbearable. He decided to try his luck and play dumb, hoping he wouldn't be grounded from his boyfriend. Why, though? Oz, stop! The young superhero screamed at the top of his lungs, before Oz could continue. When Oz had heard this, he stood completely still, opened his eyes, and looked down to see a traumatic Fanboy. The sight baffled him, because he didn't know how he could mess this up, or why Fanboy hadn't screamed out earlier. Whatever the case, the overweight male butt Fanboy down, giving the most sorry expression ever to be seen on the fat. I think we get it! He's overweight! You don't have to keep using that as a way to describe a character, especially a character who never even mentions his weight once in the actual show. No one else even mentions it at all. And then you suddenly happen along and mention it 53 times in this dumb journal with a terrible background and terrible art. Fanboy, I'm sorry. I must have mistaken you for a towel. How can I possibly make this up to you other than food? The naked male said to the traumatized teen in front of him. Fanboy was really pushing his luck by this point. When he opened his mouth, he said, "How about what you took from me in your pocket?" He didn't think Oz would go for it, but when the sincere apology he just got, he could risk it. Besides, this had been an experience that could not go unrewarded, the superhero thought to himself. Theo Beast, I'm gonna freaking... Just turned his head to the side, trying to think of what Fanboy had meant. When he said that, when suddenly it dawned on him, why all the commas? Being like a father to Fanboy, he had punished him for eating all his food and took away his cell phone away. I read that wrong, that was my bad, sorry. The overly I'm gonna piss on you knew that he used his phone to communicate with Kyle, and that was really getting to Fanboy. I suppose you can have it back, since this is definitely punished enough. Just don't eat my food, or sneak in this bathroom again, or you know what will happen. Oz said in a serious tone, as he reached into the pocket of his shirt, pulling out the cell phone and handed it to his younger friend. When Fanboy was headed to the phone, he automatically ran to his room, locked the door, changed into different clothing, still wearing his mask, and instantly started texting Kyle the end. Well, I gotta say, out of everything I've seen or really read, this is probably the second worst. Probably the second worst. I'm just being nice. This is terrible. Oh. It was mostly written as an inside joke. The one shot is not supposed to be taken seriously at all. I just wrote it at the Greyhound bus terminal as a joke. Yeah, I noticed. That's why I assumed people would highlight it. You're not supposed to assume things, you jackass. Why do people talk like this, by the way? You could just have a normal conversation. You know, stretch it out. Be like, one at a time, talk about these things so that you're communicative. And that you're not bundling everything up at once. Anyway, that was it. I might do more, maybe. This took a lot out of me. Goodbye.